I can't let you go without commenting about Graham Mertz. So
Yep.
Billy Napier is saying some very nice things, as you stated before. As you started, it's talking season, so we can either talk up Graham Mertz or we can talk him down, but we're not going to know until the ball is in the air in September. But I just think there's this narrative. Okay, Wisconsin, they don't produce quarterbacks. He's no good. He's not going to be any good. I think there's a lot there to work with. I'm not selling him as being a great quarterback to date. He hasn't been, but he's been good enough to start for what's typically been a top 15 to 25 team in the country. And yeah, he had to lean on a ground game, but just your thoughts about whether we're hearing legitimate optimism out of Billy Napier or just maybe a lot of coach speak.
I think it can be coach speak, Mark, but also be the truth at the same time. And look, we should be hearing he's in the building almost 24 hours a day. He is learning the playbook. I mean, that's what we should be hearing about Graham Mertz there. So, right. And now with that, it does seem like, Mark, from what I can gather, it's he is taking more of the first team reps, more so than Jack Miller right now. So really no surprise. I think we all expected when spring practice ends for Florida and they play their orange and blue game that Graham Mertz will probably be the number one quarterback. And, looking at it, Mark, and him coming in, I mean, two things can be true at the same time. Was he as good as he needed to be at Wisconsin? No. Was Wisconsin's offense doing him any favors? Also, no. I mean, it was a run on first down, run on second down. It's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Hey, go make a play. Okay, that's pretty difficult there. So, how much does the offense open up for him at Florida? How much can he open up the offense? I think is a fair question as well. Did Wisconsin not open up the offense because they found him to be a limited quarterback? So I think, the questions, Mark, are still going to be there. We don't know the answers till, as you said, till we see it. There is enough to say he made some bad decisions as a quarterback at Wisconsin, but there's also a lot to say that offense didn't do him any favors. So we really got to dive in. I'm sure Billy Napier did their homework. I'm sure they saw something they could unlock in him. They identified him early on in the transfer portal process. He was one of the first transfers Florida brought in the transfer portal process. He impressed them with his knowledge of the game and, watching film with them. And that was something they determined, okay, we're going to bring him on board here. And Mark, at the time, it was because, okay, you had Jaden Rashada. You don't have to throw Jaden Rashada into the mix. And then we all know that whole saga, how it turned out. Well, now you're leaning on Graham Mertz to be your guy this season for Florida. So we'll have to see, Mark. Going back and looking at, we knew Florida was probably going to hit the transfer portal for a quarterback once Anthony Richardson declared for the NFL draft, and it was, hey, can Florida bring in somebody to make up for a retooled offensive line? Can Florida bring in somebody who still may have to make up for a pretty bad defense? And does Graham Mertz fit that profile? Not really. If Florida's defense is going to be that bad, if the offensive line doesn't come together as quickly as it should. So now if the offensive line comes together as quickly as it should, I think, a run game can help Graham Mertz. If the defense under Austin Armstrong is a substantial better defense, then Graham Mertz doesn't have to be and come in and be this savior for Florida football at the quarterback position. So, but he's not the type of quarterback, Mark, that's really going to elevate the team around him so much, I don't think. So he's going to need a whole lot of help, I think, this Florida run game. I think he can lean on. But I think it's a wait-and-see approach to see what around him, I think, can help Florida become a better team.
I differentiate arm talent versus arm strength, and I have no doubt that Graham Mertz has the arm strength to play and be a starting quarterback in the SEC. Look at the tape 2 years ago against Michigan. He came out of, it was either at the end of the first half or to start the second half, close game, and he threw one of the prettiest balls, your deep throws on a dime you're ever going to see. But I don't know, when we talk arm talent, like knowing trajectory, velocity, changes in velocity, accuracy, all those things, I don't know that he's proven that. But if you've got arm strength like he does, you've got the ability to possibly be coached in that direction and be better at those things than he has in the past, throwing 18 or 19 times a game.
Yeah, and you go into that, we saw a ton of transfer quarterbacks last year. All they needed was a new scenery, and there they are on the spotlight. Michael Penix goes to Washington and lights it up. Jaden Daniels transfers from Arizona State and has a really good year at LSU. Now, he's a little bit different because you saw early on in his career at Arizona State that he might be a pretty good quarterback, fell back down to earth a bit, and then reemerged at LSU. So sometimes it can just be new scenery to unlock what you see for a quarterback in their new destination.
Have you seen enough out of Jack Miller to know that he is not the guy?
Mark, I said that based off of most of last year. Even when I see, Connor Johnson, Oregon State, even before the Oregon State bowl game, I wasn't a fan. Looking at the Ohio State spring game from a couple years ago, the Florida spring game last year, could he come in for a game or two, depending on the schedule, and do enough for Florida to win some games? Sure. Through a whole season, he's not carrying Florida to 8-9 wins. When you take the schedule into totality, so he could maybe fill in for half a game, a series, a game or two, but it does depend on where in the schedule I think that falls.